My name is Rodney Wittenberg, and it is wonderful to be here with all of you. Also, I would ask if each of you would mute yourself so that there are no distractions to the event. And just remember, when the Q&A starts, to unmute yourself. But without any further ado, I would love to introduce to all of you the man behind the Force for Good, Mr. Jonathan Sprout.
Thanks, Rodney. Jonathan Sprout here. Actually, I think what we're going to do is have you fill out your questions when we come to the Q&A time in the chat room. And Lisa, who is part of our team, will read the questions out. But yes, welcome. And we're going to make a quick hour for you here. We're being very time conscious, and I know that we all are busy people, so we'll make the most of this hour. Looks like we're up to 45,000 people right now, so that is just terrific. Force for Good is a sound and film company. We make videos about what we think are important issues, and we have 24 of them already created. We've so far premiered about half, a little over half of those, and at this point, every 2 months, we'll be premiering another one. The focus tonight is to talk about homelessness, and we have a film that we just premiered on the 1st of the month called Homeless, and that's one of the 3 reasons why we're getting together tonight, is to show that to you. The second reason why we're getting together is to have a conversation about homelessness with 2 really knowledgeable professional experts on this issue. We're going to get to talk with Suki Wasserman from the Homefront, New Jersey, in Mercer County, New Jersey. It's a big organization and a wonderful organization doing amazing things for homeless families in New Jersey. And we're going to also talk with Elvis Summers, who I met a couple of years ago in Los Angeles, and he's part of the film you're about to see. Elvis has a company called the Tiny House Project, and he is one of the most passionate humanitarians I've ever met. And I love that, connecting with Elvis. And thirdly, we want to try to inspire you to be generous and to donate to these 2 organizations tonight. Force for Good is not having any part of the donations. They're going to go directly to Homefront and the Tiny House Project. So 100% of what you give will go right to charity. Okay, so Force for Good, I think what we're going to do next is show the homeless film. So Rodney, when you get that up and ready, it's a 10-minute film. It's going to start with the prologue that has Elvis, and we filmed him pre-COVID, the end of 2018. And the music was composed by myself and Joe Monona, and actually, it comes from this CD, which we just released in February, called Innocence, by our group Force for Good. So Homeless is one of the songs on Innocence. So if you get it up and running, let's show the film, and we'll talk to you 10 minutes later.
Don't forget to mention the links, Jonathan.
On any given night in America, 500,000 people are homeless. In one of the richest countries on the planet, how can this be? There are many amazing people who are working to end homelessness. Here's one of them.
Well, my name is Elvis Summers, and I build tiny houses for the homeless. The shelters are so horrible here. They're so dangerous. They're worse than the streets. So when people refuse to go to shelters, that's why. Not because they want to be homeless. It's because the shelters are more dangerous and sickening than the streets. If you want to get people off the streets and you want to get them clean, get them somewhere to sleep first. Then when they get a good night's rest and they're safe and they feel safe, then you can address all the other issues. Just proven it works. It's also common sense. The people that are out there that truly don't want help and are say too far gone, it's just a fraction. I mean, there's a big difference between I want to be homeless out here or I want to accept this BS offer you're giving me, which is not going to help me and it's going to land me back here in 14 days. It's a huge difference, and people don't understand that. The majority of people, they don't want to be there. And given a legitimate, chance to get off the streets and get some sort of life back, they take it. I take care of teachers, nurses, lawyers. I mean, you name it. Every field I've run into, and most people, when it initially begins, is either some sort of trauma or just like a layoff, and they didn't have a friend's couch to crash on or family to help them out for a few months while they get back on their feet. They had nothing, and after months and months of sleeping in your car, and it just stacks up on top of you. You can't get out from underneath it. Eventually you're so stressed out and you're so tired of being treated subhuman. Somebody comes by and is like, hey man, you should just smoke this and relax, or here, have a drink. So maybe you get drunk that night and you just forget about it. That's where it begins. And then it just snowballs out. And then, flash forward weeks, months, years, people just treat you like an animal. And you don't want help. You chose to be there. And it's like, no, I try every day of my life. You're treated like an animal. And, no, you can't use my bathroom. Get out of here. What do you do? I mean, we need to be better humans. We're not doing a very good job at it.
Let's see.
I grew up on the other side of the bridge. And so many organizations always came out to help us. It would bring another world without worry, without anything. So it was important for me to come today.
The film that Rodney and I spent many, many, many hours on. And I still choke up when I think about that day. We were visiting in Los Angeles, and Hillary was with me. Hillary Black is here on the call also. She's part of the Force for Good team. And we met Carolina, the woman who spoke briefly in the middle of the film, and she was so passionate about helping out, and so grateful that she was on the other side this time, one of the helpers rather than the helpees. So it was a moving day for us to be filming there, and then there was Elvis, and filming Elvis was a remarkable day. Elvis is a first take kind of a guy. Like, I just turned on the camera and he just said everything magical. And Elvis, you made it so easy for us to edit, because we didn't have to edit. We just stuck everything together because you said it like you've said it a number of times before. You are obviously a passionate person about what you do. And yes, Rodney, thank you for putting that card up. This is where you can donate. Again, there are 2 recipients who are going to be receiving the benefits of our generosity. Elvis here on the screen with me, the Tiny House Project, and Homefront, New Jersey. And we'll be talking with Suki in just a bit. But here's Elvis, everybody, out in California, Looking, where's that mohawk, Elvis? It went.
It's off camping. It's taking a little break. I'm 43, and almost all of that time I've had a mohawk and no facial hair. But I don't know. The last couple months, I'm just trying it out for a minute. I'm pretending to be Aquaman for a minute.
Well, so let's get right into what you're doing and why. And I mean, I have some questions for you, but I know you're so good at just telling the whole story. So can you just, in a nutshell, give us your story and why you're doing it and what you're doing?
Sure. Let's see. The shortest is about 5.5 years ago. I wanted to build a tiny little micro house for a woman named Smokey who lived in my neighborhood in South LA. 62 years old. Everybody knew her, liked her. Hi, Smokey. But nightfall, nobody cared that she was sleeping in the dirt. Literally, like next to one of the neighbors' houses. She just slept next to the house, and it frustrated me, pained me to see, this happening, like someone's grandma, and nobody cared. So I built her a micro little house. And as I built the house, other houseless asked if I could build them one, saying I got nowhere to go. So I just, I decided to try this crowdfunding thing and film the build. I put it up online, and it just exploded. It went viral, and people started donating money. And man, I'm like, I'll do this all day long. If people want to help support me to, get people off the street or help people in any way, I'm down for it. I'm the most happy when I get to help people. So.
Well, when I met you, when Hillary and I were filming you, we met you at a church lot, and the people in the church there in Los Angeles had said to you, use our land, build your tiny homes there. And in the film, we showed a lot of footage of those beautifully colored tiny houses. So
yes,
you've moved since then, is that correct?
Well, I've only moved personally. I lived in a crappy apartment in South LA, and now I'm in a less crappy apartment in Long Beach. So it's actually not crappy, but it's, yeah, I'm in Long Beach. And but I still build the houses in Compton and or on location wherever I can. So if hopefully maybe by the end of this year, I can get my own warehouse, and then we will build them there, as well as offer classes on how to build them.
So when we donate to you, are we paying for lumber? There's a lot of materials that you need to get, right?
Correct. Yeah, and it's donating to the cause goes. It goes to all of it. It goes to materials, equipment. Sometimes that'll be food. We also feed people. When somebody comes to us for help, when we have the resources, we're not going to turn anybody away. So but it all goes to the cause. It all goes to helping people.
Yeah. So what are some of the short-term and long-term goals that you want to accomplish?
Wow. I don't know if we have time for the whole list, but I got a lot of goals, a lot of things I want to accomplish, but most importantly is getting people sheltered. The raw basic idea of the tiny house to help those that are houseless is emergency shelter. We still need affordable housing and all the programs that exist, probably a few that don't exist. We still need to do all the things that we're slated to do, and have more permanent, supportive housing and such. But that takes a long time, and it's not available yet. So while we're waiting for that, we can collectively come together as a society and say, hey, we're not going to allow people to die, on our streets and in the gutter. We're going to give them a warm, safe place to be until then, while we wait. Mm-hmm. So, that's my biggest, main goal. More short term is just, raising funds for more equipment, so we can continue doing the work, and getting some land, land of our own. We've been working very hard to get counties and cities on board, with public land that is sitting around collecting dust, but it takes a long time. So,
Are permits an issue for you at all?
yes and no. Sometimes the red tape is thick, but now that it's becoming more known exactly what it is that we're trying to do and other people are doing, it's getting less and less, because they're starting to understand. We're not building a giant structure, like a real house or something. These are emergency shelters that and communal buildings that require a lot less permitting and and stuff that goes along with it. So
yeah, I see in the chat someone asked about where do people wash, and I was very surprised to see there that you had a shower tiny house, and in fact it was in the film. Now it hadn't been outfitted with all the all the plumbing yet, but you had a little, I think it was one of those box hot water heaters that heats the water up instantly, right?
Yeah.
And if you hook it up to water and sewer, it turns into a magical sort of portable shower, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's really not expensive or complicated, especially to make a shower. It's really quite simple and cheap, actually. So we've that nice big enclosed unit that was in the video is awesome. But since then, we've made a lot smaller, quick portable ones. That tankless hot water heater, it's mounted on a dolly, and the propane tank's at the bottom. You just throw it in the back of any vehicle and wheel it somewhere. All you need is a water hookup, and you're ready to go.
So did you invent this?
I wish.
Oh yeah.
I wish so. No, honestly. So back in the beginning when I started this, and after Smokey's house, I started building, a little bit larger 6x8, which is a fairly standard size that we do now. Those in 10x10s. There was a couple who were recipients, a veteran and his wife, and they're a long, beautiful story, for another day. But we were building their house, and while we were building their house, they had a lot of obstacles that they couldn't do together as a couple because they weren't married. So we just decided to get them married at the church, and but they've been on the street for about a decade, so showers aren't readily available for those on the street. So we needed a shower. The cheapest thing we could find for to get Larry ready for the wedding was this rental. It was a handicap size porta potty, and it had a tankless hot water heater on the back. And I was just like, man. So I wish I could say that I invented it, but no. Once we paid a ridiculous amount of money just to rent that little unit for a couple days. Couple quick searches, and it's easy to do.
You have people working with you. You have a lot of media contacts, and it's my understanding that you're pretty well known. And in fact, I think the people at Homefront had heard about you when we mentioned to Suki and the other people that we were working with this guy from LA. Oh yeah, they knew about you. So you're famous, dude.
There's a few people around the world that have heard my name. It's
So we're using that to do some good work.
Great.
We've got the links up now. I saw in the chat. My good friend Alice mentioned it wasn't linking. So Elvis, can you see that link? Is that the correct address for you? thetinyhouse.org/donate.
Yeah, that'll get you there.
Okay, and then the Homefront, New Jersey. Suki, we haven't introduced you, but can you see that? Is that looking correct also?
Try what I just typed in the chat, which is just www.homefrontnj.org. And then you can do /donate, or you'll see when you go to that, there's a donate button.
Okay. Just want to make sure we got the right link and everything. Good. So anyway,
Absolutely. Hey, John, and just on both websites, one, I think Suki's is a tribute. There's a button for tributing your donation to somebody. So on her site, you do the tribute. On our site, it just says add a comment or add a message, and everybody should put Force for Good in there so we know that it came from this session.
Yeah, we want to be responsible for a lot of money going to the right places. At our very first online event, which was a month ago, that we did for the homeless shelter in Bucks County, and that was focused on our work with the Snipes Farm. And shout out to Jonathan and Melanie Snipes, Melanie Doty Snipes and Jonathan Snipes, who are here with us tonight. We raised in the end $1,800+ for the homeless shelter as a result of that, our newsletter and that event. So we're counting on a lot of good help that will go financially to both of you, to both organizations. And Elvis, you had said to me when I talked with you a couple of days ago that there were already some people who had made some donations. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, there were a few that came through, a handful that came through before today. So thank you to everybody who's has contributed and will contribute. It's very much needed and appreciated.
And it goes right to the cause. 100% of what people are giving goes right to charity. There is no filtering of that. There's no skimming off the top. There's nothing. Everything goes straight right to the people who need it.
And both companies are 501c nonprofits. So if you need a tax receipt, you can absolutely get one. So
good. Well, any other final thoughts, Elvis? I know you and I could probably talk a long time. I think you have a lot of stories.
I've got quite a few.
But just, you probably hate for me to do this, but in 30 seconds, as Judy Woodruff would say on the PBS NewsHour, in 30 seconds, can you wrap this one up? Is there a final thought you have for us?
Yikes. Sure. 30 seconds. There's a lot of people in need in one of the richest countries in the world. Nobody should be homeless. And the more people that come together and work together and get involved, the faster we will get results. So, everybody that, is here and watching and will contribute to help us, please and thank you. There's a lot of work to do. And like I said, we can all do it together. We'll get it done faster. The more, the merrier.
I look forward to seeing you again when I can get on an airplane and get out to California.
Absolutely. Don't forget what my face looks like, because this thing will, this Wookiee here will probably be gone. So.
Right. And I don't know if we mentioned this, but Elvis you are a accomplished musician in your own right.
I don't know about accomplished, but I've done a few things in my time, and I still sing in the shower. So sold out shows every shower. So
well, great to be with you, and we're honored to have you as part of this, and we're going to keep this going. Force for Good is not done with this hour and with this piece. We're not done standing up for homeless people. So
excellent. It's an honor to be a part of it. Share the good.
Great. So again, we have the links below. The tiny house. It's called the Tiny House Project, and that's the website, thetinyhouse.org/donate. And make sure you put Force for Good in there, so Elvis knows that it's coming from us. Okay, so we also have Suki Wasserman with us from Homefront, New Jersey, and there is a really beautifully done film that we at Force for Good did not make. Wish we had, that we want to show you. It's a 2 or 3 minute film that just sort of explains what Homefront is. So Rodney, when you get a chance, let's put that up and introduce Homefront to everyone.
think what makes Homefront particularly effective is the care and compassion of their staff. The environment that you walk into at the family campus is one of joy, of empathy, of support, of caring. Everyone can relate to that. And we're all involved together when we're part of Homefront's broader family.
Folks who are making $12 an hour in the nursing homes, in the daycare centers, at the fast food places, should be able to have a home of dignity.
We are putting people's lives back together by supporting Homefront.
That's just what Homefront is. It's exceptional and it saves lives every single day.
It was a sigh of relief. It was very relieving knowing that I'd be able to do something that I can finish school, get my college degree. They help with getting your GED if you don't even have your high school diploma. They encourage you in many ways.
I can say, yes, I did this. I did this on my own now.
This was my support. This is where I started from nothing and became something.
I'm thankful for them helping me. They made me a better person.
You know, to be on the streets one day and then come here and you have a roof over your head and a clean bed and a shower alone. You know, just the basic needs that people, you know, need to get through every day. Homefront provides that.
Really, Homefront has saved my life. Homefront has saved my life. And Homefront has restored my soul.
So we have with us Suki Wasserman, everyone. Hi, Suki.
Hi, thank you so much for having us. I'm so honored. Your film was so beautiful and the music. My son is actually a composition major at Peabody, so I especially appreciated, yeah, this is wonderful. And of course, Elvis, the work you're doing, we're all doing our part. Homefront was started 30 years ago. Our founder was taken by her friend. She's a clinical psychologist by training, Connie Mercer. Her friend was a pediatrician and took her to the motels lining Route 1, which is the main thoroughfare in central New Jersey going down to Trenton. And he said, this is where the homeless families in our area are warehoused. You don't generally see homeless families on the street because DIFUS will take the children from the parents if they are on the streets. They are generally going to get help, and they were going and being, like I said, warehoused in local motels, and it was hopeless. There were no place to cook, no toys. The parents just looked dejected, and the children, you know, no place for a child. And he said there are hungry, homeless families in New Jersey. Fix it. And for the last 30 years, that's what we've been trying to do. And we've evolved to where you can see now we have a family campus. We don't call it a shelter. Shelters are very scary places that even people who have nowhere else to go, they don't want to go to a shelter. And so we've created this campus where 38 families can come at any one time and stay there. On average, it's a 2-month stay, but we have families that need to stay longer. And that's why we really depend on private donations because once a family comes there, they not only have a place over their head and can work with a case manager to see what is everything they need to be able to live self-sufficiently in the future. You can finish your education at Homefront, and we have Dr. Charles Wallace is also on from Homefront tonight. He is the director of our program there, which helps folks not only finish their high school education, but also gets job training, job prep, resume writing, helps you figure out what you'd like to do, and then connects you to local jobs in the community. We have a lot of relationships with local corporations. We had one man, Jonathan, he came to us with his son. He had gotten out of prison and they became homeless because nobody wanted to hire someone who'd been in prison. And they came to Homefront. While he stayed there, his son was in our children's program. He went to the summer camp, and while his son was in 8-week summer camp and they were living at our campus, Jonathan was in our program. He wanted to be a commercial truck driver, but the test is actually pretty difficult. And so we had tutors working with him to help him study for his test. And now he actually lives with his son in an apartment of their own that we helped them find. He works for the New Jersey Sanitation Department. And we see this every day, that families who are not only helped with a place to live, but with education, job training. We have 46 children in our daycare, not during COVID, but in normal years. We actually have 400 children in a normal year in our school-age Joy, Hopes, and Dreams program, which is after school and weekend programming to really show kids, give them opportunities they've never had. So our kids, we had one kid came to us, he had never played basketball before because he lived in Trenton and it was too dangerous to play on the streets, came to us, joined our league, went to our twice-a-week tutoring, got a basketball scholarship to Rutgers, and he's now graduated with Rutgers with a finance degree. And this is every day. This is what we have. As we help people with a place to stay, the skills to survive on their own, parenting skills, budgeting skills. We have healthcare available to our families. Childcare, children's programs, essentials. During COVID, we have given out almost 500,000 meals and over 500,000 diapers and wipes. So we deal with the essentials. We do furniture, household goods. We have a free store, 3 pantries. I know we're trying to speak very quickly tonight, but I just want to, one quick story, which I think really shows the potential of our families. I had the privilege of interviewing a woman. She was 19. She had just finished high school. She had no parental support. She had 2 children. She called us from the transit train station, the Trenton transit station, and said, I have nowhere to go. And people come to us because they call around when they have nowhere to go, when they're kicked out of their friend's house or their family's house, if they're fleeing from domestic violence. And she really had no direction. We helped her in this, in our Work First program, which Dr. Charles leads. And we set her up with Misericordia University, where they provide childcare for your children while you go on for a college education. And that was 9 years ago. And this past spring, she graduated law school. And wow. We are, you know, when I see people's faces, they're shocked. In 20 seconds, I want to tell you, one more woman came to us during COVID. She had been living on the street for 5 years with her boyfriend. They were addicted to drugs. She got pregnant and she said, no more. She said, I'm not bringing a baby into this world addicted to drugs. She went into Dr. Charles' program. She stayed with us 9 months, which so we needed individual funding to pay for that because that's more than a state, you know, money you have from the state. She just got certified through our program and Mercer Community College to be a phlebotomist, where she learned to take blood. She went through drug treatment. She's completely drug-free. Her baby is fine. They are living independently in an apartment, transitional living, where we help. It is one of our affordable apartments, but we help out and pay the rent, and she gets, you know, government subsidy, and she is really recovering. So I hope these stories show that from any point, you can start, and with our help and the community's help, you can live self-sufficiently, just like Elvis was saying, if you're there when someone needs you.
I love that you are so much more than a building, you know, where people can sleep. I mean, you obviously work to rehabilitate, and that is so important to end the cycle of poverty. You know, you're working to do things so that it doesn't get passed on from generation to generation. And I love that. It's preventative medicine is what I call it.
Yeah, and in terms of what you're saying about it, it's not just a building. The art you see behind me, this is in my house. This was made in Homefront's art space. We find we need to rebuild the spirit. We're not a religious-based organization. We accept government money, but we have art space and sewing space where people come, and it is a way to really build confidence and communicate their pain and grow. And our artists, our aspiring artists, come back with us even after they're living on their own, because we become an extended family to our families.
Yeah, and the whole notion of a campus is so cool. And Elvis, I could see a tiny house campus, you know, and I just love this notion of so full service. Whenever somebody comes in, you don't let go of them until they're really, really ready and prepared, until they want to go, right?
And you know what? I talked to this woman, Crystal, this year. We actually have a video of her on our Facebook. And she came to us 20 years ago, and throughout getting into an associate degree, getting her first place, which we helped her with, her second place, etc. We've been with her all the way, and she just got getting her second master's degree. But we never break from our families, because we see that it really takes having someone to fall back on or call when you need advice, that we are there for our families and we keep in touch, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, and that's something I personally can appreciate so much. I mean, I've always had a security net. You know, I mean, I was a struggling artist when I got out of school. I literally lived in poverty, but I never felt it because I always had a security net. I always had parents I could go back to, and very kind, loving, heroic parents. And so I was able to take chances and with my music and not worry if it didn't succeed. But I can't imagine how scary it is for people. And there are so many all around the country, all around the world, who don't have that security. And that's what you've become, obviously, for many, many people. I think it's such a beautiful thing.
And we're a family to the people who volunteer. And, you know, I came from the corporate world and was looking for a way to give back. We become we draw the whole community together. It's not one group of people helping another group of people. We're all helping each other. You know, it brings such light to my life to be able to do this work.
Yeah.
To meet these wonderful, exceptional people who really deal with such hardship and flourish and do amazingly well. And I just want to say at the end of the video, that video was from 3 years ago. It said 16,000 cries for help are answered every year. We're now over 32,000 cries for help each year. And like I said, over 500,000 meals during COVID. COVID has been very rough, very, very rough for our families.
Of course, I mean, we haven't even touched on that, but yes, absolutely. No doubt everything's been much worse for both of you, for both Elvis and for you, Suki. But anyway, let's, at this point, moving right along, let me introduce Lisa Gage, who is part of our Force for Good team. Lisa, thank you so much for all the wonderful things you have done. This is your brainstorm. You've been the one to really create this arm of the Force for Good mega thing. I mean, we have our music with our albums. We have our films that Rodney has been such a big part of in helping create that. And now we have our online programs, and that's all your fault, Lisa.
Yes, well, you guys brought me on with the idea of we want more people to see our films and learn about what we're doing, and this just seemed, you know, a great way to do it. So my role here tonight is to read off the questions, and there have been quite a few generated in the last few minutes while Suki was speaking. The first one is, are there other ways that we can help out in the local community? So I thought, yeah, maybe you'd want to talk about the volunteer opportunities.
Elvis, do you want to start, or should I start?
Have at it.
Okay, there are a lot of ways to get involved with Homefront. We have folks who volunteer in our pantry. We have folks who do virtual tutoring for our adults and for our kids. Once everyone has the vaccine and we're back in person, we have a lot of groups come through to help put backpacks together and Thanksgiving baskets and our present drive, etc. the best thing is on our website, there's a what you can do and volunteer, and you can see a list of all of our volunteer opportunities, or anyone can email me. I'm a community engagement coordinator at Homefront, so it is my job to interact with the community and help folks get it involved. But even if you have a special skill or talent, we have people who help with sewing, with woodworking, with tutoring, anything you can dream of. Because we're really full service, we will find a place that you can get involved. And also food and diaper collections are a big thing, and that's on our website as well. We're really in need of this right now.
Elvis?
Yes, it's pretty simple for us. You can go to our website, thetinyhouse.org. We have a couple different forms on there. One of them says volunteer, and people can sign up right there to volunteer in any fashion necessary. They can leave an extra message of if they do have a special talent or a skill, if they're a contractor, or maybe they like office work or whatever it is. But sign up and get in contact with us, and we can put it together. Hopefully, COVID is making things so much worse. I mean, like I'm getting calls from the county, 2 different departments in the county of LA now asking if we've got housing available. It's just skyrocketing. People are becoming houseless exponentially faster. So there, unfortunately, there's not going to be a shortage of work to be done. So the more people that get involved, the better.
So this is a question for Suki. Can single people participate? I guess single homeless people participate in Homefront, or is it exclusively for family?
We are primarily for families. We also work with medically fragile women and men who have been diagnosed HIV positive, but there are also individual cases of where we're working with an individual. Yes, but we come mainly from family work, but we do help when there is need.
Let's see. So how do, this is also for Suki, how do you get the word out about Homefront? That's your whole job, right?
That's why
how do you get the word out?
I'll be contacting you about the national media. Through newspapers, every school comes and volunteers with us. Local corporations come and volunteer with us. We're in the local newspapers and radio, on social media, and we would love if people join us on social media and share with their friends. It's a really easy way to get involved if you're very busy and you don't have time to, come and help us in person. We would love that. So that's generally how we get the word out, and also friends telling friends. The people who are most committed to us, they say, oh, you got to hear about this place. And, they really are our ambassadors to the community.
Well, and hey, and if we end up doing some work together, build a village on some of the extra property that you guys have, I'll bring a few thousand volunteers from the West Coast out, and I guarantee you that'll bring some attention.
That would be great. I will contact you after this this week. Thank you.
Suki, I'll tell you one interesting way the word got out to me. The first time I heard about Homefront, I actually grew up in Hightstown in Mercer County, and I went to the Petty School. And there was a Petty School graduate who graduated recently and rowed across the Atlantic Ocean.
Oh, yes.
And I read about him in the Petty School Chronicle, which is the alumni magazine, and he did it for Homefront.
He did. He's a really great young man. And one other thing I wanted to add, our clients, the people who have received help from us, are also one of our greatest resources for getting the word out. Friends telling friends, like, oh, you need help? I got help, and this is where.
Word of mouth is the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question for Elvis. I was doing some research on tiny houses, and there are some like national associations, and I'm wondering if your group was one of the first, and if you coordinate efforts at all with any of these other groups.
Not per se. I do speak a lot, and I've given a lot of advice and direction to many different groups, both private and public. And I'm growing to be friends with a lot more people, and the more is the whole tiny house community, those that are involved with doing it for the houseless, and I kind of call it the middle class style, that are full homes but small. It's all coming together, so it's quickly growing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that answered the question or not, but
yeah, I was just surprised how many there were around the country. Like there are the private ones that are just for people who are into living in tiny houses, but there's a lot of faith-based groups that are doing it around the country.
Very true, and I've worked with a few of them, and it's definitely much bigger today than it was 5 years ago. 5 years ago, there was a handful. That's it, and I mean, there was a bigger circle than that, but as far as being nationally known and easily searchable in the Google, there wasn't a whole lot of it back then. So
yeah. Well, the other questions here, I think Elvis might have answered. A lot of people wanted to know about the land and the permits and problems with zoning and code requirements.
There's always
all of the above.
yeah, there's always hoops to jump through. It varies by state. It's pretty brutal in Jersey. It's pretty brutal in California. And a few other places. But again, there's still a lot of gray matter that hasn't really been figured out yet and dealt with. So it's still a great time to really press. And now that a lot of government bodies are finally open to the idea, things are changing. So, but land is definitely the hardest thing to come by when you're trying to do this. I mean, it's, I could build these all day long, but if we got nowhere to put them, they're just stacking up. So, land is key.
Mm-hmm.
How many states is tiny house building in? Many. I mean, I don't know about all, but it's growing very quickly. I know that there's at least 30 plus states that have sanctioned tiny house communities specifically to help the houseless. But I know it's growing. I get requests for people wanting to start something like this or build some in their state, places I've never been. It's growing fast, and it's a cheap, easy to build option for a place to rest. Whether it's you want to downsize, in a middle class style with a full kitchen, bathroom, or you're just needing a shelter, like a safe place to be at night. They're all much cheaper and easier to build than a standard anything. So there's a lot of appeal to it because people just want to live. People want to, like, there's so much to worry about in this world. In every category. The last thing we should be worrying about is where we rest our head. Jonathan, Melanie, that is a great question. There is no difference except for the word homeless is derogatory. It's grown into having a negative connotation to it, and it's like a dirty word, really. I use the word houseless because I want to change the patterns that we've created as a society. Not only allowing people to die in the gutter, but even down to just the simple word. Someone that's homeless, they just don't have a home. And they're every walk of life, every skin color, every ethnicity, every religion, every job. So it's they're just people like you and me, but they're houseless. And I just hope that'll start to carry and change, because homeless shouldn't be a dirty word.
You know, I was thinking about that, Elvis. You have referred to that word houseless, and I wish I had titled the song Houseless, because that's really better than homeless. Because you're right, homeless, home is where the heart is, but the house, we're talking about the house. That's all. It doesn't mean that you're less than adequate if you don't have a house. It just means you don't have a house. We have a very rich website, forceforgoodmusic.com. Spend a lot of time watching the films from there. And we do have a number of resources for each of our pieces, places you can go and learn more about what inspired us to create pieces in the first place.